Good afternoon, people. How you all been doing? Thought I'd do a relatively easy one today. Well, I'm hoping it's going to be easy. 215 metres of climbing. Just short of 20 kilometres. And it's a community route. Totally forgot who did it. It's a big Lazer gravel in Georgia, USA. But just a nice steady away. No other riders. Just me on my lawns. Heading through some lovely countryside and woodland. I've got to admit that ride yesterday, which I didn't film this way, I just captured the Rouvy ride. That was hard. Found those climbs really hard. And some of them are like 14%. And for a non-climber, that's hard. Max on this is supposed to be 6%. Six 6.2, 6.7, 6.8. Well, obviously the max isn't 6%. .9. Anyway, the metallic knocking noise, I found out what that is. Bottom bearings on my fork, completely shot. In the scheme of things it doesn't matter because I'm not riding on the road, not using it to turn. I don't really do it now. Certain angles there's a bit of a knocking. I'll get that sorted. Want some new forks because I think there's looking down that way. The right one is slightly backwards, so I think they're bent anyway. I'll just get some cheap forks, new bearings. Job's a good one. You have to excuse noise, again it's like 22 degrees. I've got to have my window open. Windows. because of the main road out there. There's all traffic noise. That's a knocking noise. Each time I ride it gets worse. In for a bit of fun. Oh, that's nice. As you know, it's not my cardiovascular that craps out on inclines or hills or any sustained power output. It's muscle fatigue. Now I do carb load, I do eat and as a rule I do have my rides about an hour or so after I've had a decent feed. Level 23, yeah! It's like now, you know, my legs are really feeling it. And my heart rate's stuck at 131, which is same on my watch. You know, I should be. I can't get my heart rate above 160. But if I'm working hard, like on hills and stuff, yeah, I should be 170. But I can't work that hard because my legs, the muscle fatigue. Just kills me. Yeah, I don't even get that build up or whatever it is. Not flatus. Whatever it is. So it's a fueling my muscles problem. And with how I've been for the last couple of months, mainly month, been waking up 7-8 times during night for a week, absolutely busting, about every hour, so I'm not getting the continuous sleep. When I need in a week, a huge knot in my bladder. I get extremely tired, but I have been putting that down to not getting a good chunk of sleep due to the weight. But what if it's not? I am of a certain age, nearly 60. And I don't look it from this camera angle. but I've got a lot of weight. And a lot of stuff I eat. He's a bit jumpy. Sometimes I'll eat something and I'm revitalised. Sometimes I'll eat something and don't fall asleep, but I feel that ill. I have to go lay down, and then I do get about 2 hours solid comatose sleep. Anyway, I've never looked into it, and this past week, you know what, I'll just check. And I've been looking at symptoms of diabetes. And if I take away any external factors, i.e. me thinking I'm knackered because my sleep's interrupted with the toilet, to take that away as a factor, I've got 80% of all symptoms. But then again, because of my head the way it is, yeah, I'm suffering a fair bit of paranoia and delusions. Am I just overthinking? Oh. On the excessive sweating. drink it, have I? Oh. Well, I've done a fair few community rides. I do like gravel rides and stuff. You have better scenery. And unless there's some weird zigzag or dodgy camera work somewhere along it next 6.5k, this has probably got to be one of the best community gravel rides I've ever done. This would actually be an epic Rouvy gravel race. There's someone else riding it now. Well, I was going to put my earbuds in and just get lost to the music while I did this. I'm enjoying it that much. I'm needing music. It's a stunning ride. I didn't look to see what ETA were on this. If I did look, I've completely forgot. Question for you. I've not seen it myself yet, but apparently when you're riding, somebody else is riding, but it'll tell you what percentage of reality they're using. Now, before I get into the main crux of this conversation, yes, there are exceptions. Yes, there are people that have just started and they're trying their best to get fit and get to a level where they can do a ride on 100%. So they reduce the percentage, which only reduces the hills, not the flat or downhill. And some people reduce percentage right down and do a ride as reconnaissance. Now I thought the whole point of whatever that word is why there's a video preview down at the bottom of the route page, which I always watch. So I can't see point in doing a recce ride, like 20% reality or whatever. But that's just me. Apart from that one exception, which includes disabilities and everything else that can fit into that. And the second exception, which is recon, which I don't think you can use that as an excuse. Because here's the video preview and it tells you max grade, etc. Why would anybody ride with less than 100%? Because in my eyes, and this is coming from someone who's totally shit at hills. Yeah, I'm getting slightly better on flats and slight gradients, but why would anybody ride less than 100%? Because the whole point is to A, just ride, B, enjoy riding, and C, which I think is A, to get damn better at riding. Build up your stamina, better your times, and I have finished. So if you, which is majority people, is to cycle and to get better, excluding beginners. Well, more so beginners, but not the 100% thing. The whole point is to get better, to test your limits and to progress. If you're doing rides that are way less in reality, then you're just cheating yourself. You know, when I first started, I started on my route and I had that Bodymax bike thing. And I thought it would be fantastic. Then I found out it was actually a dumb bike, not a smart bike, and I got nothing but abuse on my whoosh. So I sacked that off and I tried Rouvy, and I love Rouvy. But all those, I've asked Rouvy to delete all those rides and reduce my FTP, because my all-time best is 299, but that wrong body max. And I've asked Rouvy to delete all that data, but they haven't got around to it yet. It was over a month ago. So if you're watching Rouvy, get it done. I'm so ashamed of them, because none of it was real. And yes, I was pleased with myself at the time, but now I've got a real smart trainer. I'm nowhere near as good as that. So I was surprised at how crap I was. And that's because I was being deluded. And if you're riding at less than 100%, you are deluding yourself. Because you'll finish a route, give yourself a pat on the back, but then if you went to do the same route again at 100%, a day or two later, you'd realise how shit you are compared to 20%, 50% reality. And you are just fooling yourself. And this is getting a bit preachy, but that's just my thoughts. I know a lot of you will disagree. I did put that comment on a post that mentioned the reality level percentage underneath a name if they're riding less, and a lot of people totally disagreed with me. I probably didn't put it right, but yeah, that's just my thoughts. If you're doing it to get better, you need to find your base level and stick to your base level, which is 100%, and get better. I know there's exceptions, and people will say, well, I just wanted to do that route, but take it easy. Find an easier route with not as much climbing. Yeah. I know there's even more exceptions, but for the majority of people, why ride less than 100%? Anyway, I might cut all that out, I don't know. Right. See what my times were and everything. ETA 4811, I did it in 41:59, 19.58 kilometres, 215 metres of climbing. Reached level 23. Level 23 reached. Right, yeah, I've no what to say. Hope you enjoyed this video. The person who created that ride, climb higher, collect reward. Right, the route is by mhatten, and mhatten, whoever you are, excellent. That is probably the best gravel route I've done on Rouvy. It might be the best, I just can't remember, but from what I can remember, this is the best one so far for camera work and everything else. Just spot on. I'm going to have to check your profile and see what other routes you've done. So if you haven't done this route, the big Lazer gravel, Georgia, USA, by mhatten, do it. It's fantastic. Yeah. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Till next time, ride safe, be strong, and I'll catch you all later. Bye for now.